Present.
Elizabeth Zielinski,
Present.
Simona Hinton Derrickson,
Present.
Ann
Present.
Whitman.
Thank you, Simona.
Thank you. Christy Stewart,
Present.
Carla Lamar, Jennifer Moore, Lakeisha Smith,
Present.
Ben Miller,
Present.
Andrea Almario is absent.
Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Great. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. As this has been posted, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
This has been a move to approve the agenda that's posted.
I second that motion. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed or changes to the agenda, please say nay. Nay. Back to the roll.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Present.
Carla Lamar.
Thank you. Okay, we will approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Does anyone have any changes to the last meeting minutes? Ms. Moore sent some changes that we've updated into the minutes. Did anyone else have any other changes to the minutes? May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Carl. Have a second.
A second.
Thank you, Lakeisha. All in favor of approving the last meeting minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. All right, great. We will turn it over to Mr. Hudson.
All right, so first thing up for today is the data points. We're looking at our spring map results. Doing a couple of comparisons. The main one is looking at last year to this year this time. So the first one that we're looking at, one second, I believe this is math. It is math. And so looking at spring of 2024 and comparing it to spring of 2025, third grade is up 6 points. Fourth grade went down 2 points overall, and fifth grade went up 8 points compared to last year. And that's looking at proficient and distinguished. Over the years, you can see the growth has been kind of flat. But when you look at last year to this year, then we're ahead of where we were last year. And as I shared earlier today, we had a second grade tour that we typically score somewhere between 5 to 8% higher than what we did what we did on the spring map. So whatever we do on the spring map, we usually score 5 to 8% higher on GMAS. And a couple of things that we're doing differently this year. Of course, we had tutorial last year, but we're also doing the morning tutorial where we looked at our students that were within the cusp. So they were right on the cusp. Either they were +3 or -3, meaning they were close to going to the next level or close to dropping. We took those students and we have them come in the morning tutorial. Our coaches, Carla Lamar, Jennifer Chestnut, and I don't want to start naming, but a lot of different people, even from PC, came over to help. The gifted teachers from PC helped to come over and broke those kids into different groups so that the teachers had smaller groups to work within the class in the mornings, and that was from 7:15 to 8. So we're hoping to see an even greater yield from that, because when they took this, we only had about 2 sessions before they took this map. 1 second. Go ahead, Miss Dr. Hinton.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry. I wanted to know your plus and minus metrics. Is it comparing the third grade in spring 24 is now the fourth grade in spring 25? So when you're saying they went down 2%, that is tracking that particular class? Or you're saying the way third graders performed last year is up 6 points compared to the way third graders performed this year?
The latter. So we're looking at different groups of children. We are not tracking the same groups of children.
Yes.
We're looking at how third grade scored at the end of 2024 versus where they are positioned to score this year in 2025.
Okay.
And so that's how, they'll take a look at where we're growing or how we're growing, and that will go towards CCRPI, whether we improve by third, fourth, and fifth for this year.
And then what are the metrics for the red, yellow, light green, and green?
So red is well, dark green is dark green is distinguished, the light green is proficient, your yellow is
Develop.
developing, and the red is beginning. So beginning, development, proficient, distinguished.
Can you speak to anything that was specific to third and fifth grade that might have been missing in fourth grade? That they did either in their PLCs or as a team or with the new standards that may have aided that big increase versus the,
I think it's just the newer teachers. We had some newer teachers on fourth to fourth grade this year. That's my guess. And as they were learning, they were growing, but not anything concretely, and also just different groups of students. But they have been all doing the same thing in PLCs, looking at the data. Actually, I'm shocked that fourth didn't go higher because they're very cohesive and good at talking about the data and internalizing everything. So I think it's just a matter of time, and that will go up as well. Because they are a cohesive team and they plan well together. This does not translate well to this
Hard
screen.
to see.
And I made it as big as I could, but this is the math median achievement scores, and that's looking from grades from K all the way down to 5. I'm moving it closer.
yeah. on my phone.
So remember, this is looking at something a little bit different. This is looking at our median scores, and I did email everyone a
Yeah,
copy of
thank you.
this. And so when you look at achievement from winter in kindergarten to the achievement in spring, looking at the median score, so lining everything up together and going to that middle score,
Mhm.
they went from 73rd to 76. In achievement in first grade, I think they went, I didn't even touch that screen. In achievement, they went from 63rd in first, and it stayed, I think that's about the same.
Yeah,
63rd.
69.
Second, 59th to, what does that say?
50th.
The 50th. Third, 58th to 55th. Fourth, 51st to 43rd. And fifth, 62nd to 57th. So keep in mind, is even though it's looking at math, these are the median scores. So if you line up all the scores, if there are 20 scores and you go right to the middle score, that's what that's looking at here. Even hard to see.
Big
closer.
amount of growth. Or green.
Wait, why? This is winter.
Winter on the left and then spring on the right.
And then the growth is at the top,
Right.
which that's good to see as well.
Yep. So if you look at the top of each grade level, that's the growth. Of course, we're trying to eliminate the red and increase in the green, blue, and yellow. I would say eliminate the red and orange, but on the regular assessment where we're looking at it, it's just the red. That's the beginning. Same thing for reading now. So with our reading, third, fourth, and fifth, which is what will be assessed on in CCRPI, we moved 6 points looking from spring 24 to 2025. It's remained flat. It was 0 and I think it was 49% in both cases from spring of 2024 to spring of 2025. And then fifth grade had a growth of +1 from spring of 2024 to spring of 2025.
And the beginning group, so what would be like their proficiency for the grade? Is it like 30th percentile,
It just,
10th percentile, like I know it's saying they're beginning learners, but is there like and the next one will show us the median for the grade. But is it saying that that's like that group is scoring in the 20th percentile and then the yellow is scoring somewhere between the 20th and the 40th percentile?
that is more when you look at this one,
Mhm.
that's what it breaks that down at the bottom. But that's looking at the median growth as well. So if you look at that bottom key,
Right.
it tells you if you look at that, and I don't remember what it is right offhand, bottom left corner,
Yeah, that
right there.
says the red here is 20th percentile.
Oh, first to
The
20.
orange is 21st to 40th percentile. And then it moves up in like 20 quartiles from there.
And so I didn't have a clean report where I could just pull 30th percentile and
Right.
below, but that's one of the ones that we would look at.
So like, could we look at that for like 5th grade, for example? There are 120 students who took the test. And on the achievement at the end of the year, there were 13% who were in the red. That's 15.6 students.
Okay.
So how many of those, so I know we don't have you don't have the EIP numbers today,
I mean, I have some of the average numbers.
but like in 5th grade, could we say we're serving 15 students in EIP services?
Not necessarily. I have 9 is the number that I got
For
today.
5th grade? Mhm.
And we'll also take a look at something else because it's not strictly based on the lowest 30th percentile or the 29th percentile and below. It's also based on a rubric. So
Right.
you start with that, then you take a look at the rubric. And if the child doesn't score under 15 on the rubric, and that's actually looking at the skills and different standards. If they don't score below 15 on a rubric, then they're not eligible for services.
And do you feel confident that we give the rubric to every single child who would qualify
Yes.
for under 30th percentile?
Yep. Because Mr. Champion, that's what he did for the district. So he
Right.
made sure that we are fine with that. He did that for the district and coached before he even worked here. That's how he coached our teachers up and getting the higher scores as far as doing that.
It just seems like we have a huge miss if we are not finding a way to provide EIP services for every student who is scoring below 20th percentile proficiency.
So it doesn't always work out that we can. Part of one of our challenges this year is we didn't have someone to be able to service them in math. So we did hire a part-time teacher for math. That's part of the budget talks that we had. So that will catch more students when we look at math. And then we have the 2 that will be catching different students for reading. And so depending on what the rubric says, as well as the 30th percentile or the 29th percentile and below, and we catch as many students as we can in the meanwhile.
So are you
And-
saying we provided no students math EIP services?
We
this
didn't have
year?
math EIP, no. We have reading EIP.
How do these numbers and like the predictions that they're going with, like our GMAT scores, how do those fit in with like our strategic goals that we've got?
Well, that's why we looked at ELA and math, which are areas that we need to improve. The superintendent is definitely focused on ELA and math as well, going back to the basics with reading and math.
Mhm.
And so when we looked at our strategic goals, those ranked very high for us.
Well, no, I mean, like, so what are like the percent, because I know we have specific percentages that we're aiming for. Are we on track to hit those or are we? You know what I mean?
Oh, I will have to go back and look at the specific numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
We're on track to improve. I don't think we're gonna quite hit the targets, but we're looking at improvement and growth. Go ahead, Miss, who is that?
Me?
Dr. Derricks?
Hi. So now hearing this information, and we could have provided more services, and we did not have anyone for math. When we were voting on the budget, this was one of the things that we were drilling in on. Did we have enough people to provide these services? So now,
Mhm.
moving forward to next August, with the budget that we had that was really tight, and we didn't get the Go team did not want to get rid of positions or rearrange positions. How will we service them in the fall?
Because we hired, right?
Well, we hired the additional math
Yeah.
person,
Yes.
but we remain the same with ELA, with having the 1 EIP teacher for
Mhm.
each campus, plus the part-time teacher on this campus.
Yeah.
So we did not hire an additional person to serve the EIP needs, but we did maintain what we had from last year and then added the math person.
I just think this was a
How-
missed opportunity for the way we voted.
I'm just confused. You said we added a math person
Mhm.
that we did not have this year.
Right.
So we are now serviced, so we will be able to service the
So-
EIP math needs next year.
We will be able to serve as much as they can schedule because remember, there's a part-time person.
Okay, so it's a part-time versus no time.
Right.
Which is a positive.
Yeah.
And then we were able to keep the current services we have.
For reading.
Okay,
Yep.
That's, I was.
So
just
we
wondering.
didn't reduce and remember, we had to make some tough choices because we didn't have the funding to do above that. Now, if our enrollment increases and we're able to get more money, then that's definitely something that we should look at for next year too. Perhaps another EIP or perhaps another math person for EIP or reading. So, I mean, for math or reading, we just need to look at what is going to be best to serve our students for next year.
Is it possible to have additional teachers on staff seek accreditation to provide EIP services? For example, can curriculum coaches provide EIP services?
Well, they have other purposes that they have to serve, but any certified teacher could provide those services.
Any certified
The
teacher can
skill-
provide EIP services. So when you're making the schedule, I think it's fair to say, I mean, I would certainly prioritize providing EIP services to students who qualify in the scheduling of people's roles.
For the teachers that need credentialing, who pays for that?
He's saying
Right.
any teacher already credentialed, like any teacher at all, could provide
But
EIP
if we need
services.
more, if we need more teachers, do we need to increase credentialing? That's what I'm asking. Are you saying we
Specifically-
need more teachers or we need to reallocate time to those teachers?
I'm saying, I think we could reallocate the way what people's role, my question is it worth considering reallocating people's roles? That if we have people on staff who could provide EIP services, and it sounds like we do, that's my question.
We're,
You want to answer?
I'm not certain who are the people on staff that you're referring to.
I mean, my question was about curriculum coaches who are teachers, right? There's certified teachers.
You mean in IB, math, and leaders?
Yes. I mean, my question is, are they available to provide EIP services?
Probably not, because their job is to focus on helping the teachers improve overall. So where they'll have the biggest impact is in the classroom supporting those teachers. And then we have used them in other areas like we did this year. They worked and did tutoring in the morning during the times that they were available in the morning, but during the day, they're helping lead the planning sessions. They're helping go into classrooms, coaching, modeling, and things of that nature. So as far as just having a regular EIP schedule, I don't see that happening, especially with all the things that I'm going to expect from them next year.
After COVID, with the extra 30 minutes that you guys did, like kind of the what I need or
Mhm.
information, would that be like a time where EIP services would be provided as well?
So
Is there?
when we had the extra 30 minutes,
Yeah,
we
it
were
was
able
extra
to do
30
it.
Minutes.
Mhm.
I just didn't know if you said shortening specials time is what, 15 minutes?
So we
Pause.
gave,
I don't know if like there could be a bring back intervention or I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like what the schedule.
so we'll talk
has
about
in
that.
it.
We will talk about that as we
Okay.
go on, and and then, I talked about it earlier today in second grade, but we'll talk about it some more because we are going to have a day that's more or less dedicated to doing that, where we'll pull the gifted students out, and then the students that are in the classrooms the teacher can hone in on their different needs. So that's in the plan for next year already. I don't know. I think maybe before we go to the needs assessment, I'm gonna jump way ahead. I'm gonna jump ahead to gifted, scheduling and hiring update, departmentalization, talk about those three things, and then come back before we have the discussion, okay?
Okay, so would these be information items?
These are information items, but I think it's gonna be relevant to the discussion that we have surrounding the needs assessment. So when we look at gifted for next year, we do want to enhance the differentiated instruction. We do want to make sure that each student gets what they need. We also want to strengthen the curriculum alignment. And part of that is and I talk about it, Ms. Herron spoke about it this morning, and people that have had experience, where we have children that were in gifted and they were pulled out for the whole day and they worked on gifted projects and things of that nature. The plan now is to have them working on the same things, the same standards of instruction and objectives that the other students are working with, but going deeper, broader, and giving more and applying what they have learned to help them grow. That's where the research is showing that they have growth is when they actually go deeper, broader, and the application of what they're learning in class. So in order to do that, the gifted teachers need to be teaching the same thing, and they need to be in the planning sessions with the general ed teachers as they plan. Maximize instructional effectiveness. So using dedicated planning time to develop high quality lessons together as a group in PLCs, and then supporting a balanced learning environment. So those are our goals with the change in the plan that we're doing. So each teacher, which we now have 3, will be responsible for teaching 2 grade levels apiece. They will have a dedicated planning time for their activities once per week. Their instructional delivery, gifted instruction will take place over the remaining 4 days across both campuses, and we'll talk about what that looks like. They will collaborate and align with the other teachers, so they're going to plan with their grade level. So when 3rd grade has PLC, the 3rd grade teacher or the teacher that's teaching 3rd grade gifted will be in that planning session with those teachers to ensure that their instruction aligns with state standards. So when they have that pullout day, they're not doing something that's totally different from what the teachers are doing in the classrooms. As far as dual language immersion support is concerned, they will be pulled out on the English side only. And then general education planning, homeroom teachers will not introduce new content on pullout days. So that's going to be our What I Need Day. That's going to be also a day where the teachers can push in for interventions amongst other times during the week, which that hasn't totally been hashed out. But one of the times that they'll be able to do that is on Wednesdays, because on that day, the gifted students will be pulled out. The homeroom teachers will have smaller groups. They will not introduce new content. They will be working on skills and things that the students need. So if they had a test during the week and we're looking at data-informed instruction and a student is struggling in a particular area, then she can pull that group of students that are struggling in that area and work with them in a small group. Meanwhile, you may have another group within the classroom that met that standard and can go into something else or do some of the application problems. During planning, they'll get ideas for that because the gifted teachership will be in the planning with us. And then they'll have those groups within the class. So they'll have smaller groups to differentiate for within each classroom. So the way that it will work is Monday, that's the planning day for the gifted teachers. Tuesday, all 3 teachers will work with the students at IC. Wednesday, all 3 teachers will work with the students at PC. And even kindergarten, they will look at some of those students in preparation before they test, some high achievers that show promise, and work with them. Thursday, it will be DLI at the IC. So they'll pull out half of those students in the morning when they're in the English side, and then pull the same half, another half out in the afternoon. Same thing on Friday for PC. And that will be the schedule for the gifted students. So we're going to use a hybrid model. It's kind of collaboration and resource, a hybrid model where they're going to get a little bit of both worlds. So the updates overall, 3 teachers next year, 1 day pullout for every student, DLI pulled out from the English side, and each team 3 to 5, and this is something that hasn't been mentioned yet. Each team on 3rd through 5th grade will have 1 gifted certified teacher. So we'll have 6 teachers per grade level. In each pair of teachers, 1 will be gifted endorsed. So they'll be getting, that's where they'll get the collaboration or the cluster. We'll look at which one it is based on the number of students, but they'll get support from that teacher during the day. And then on the pullout day, they'll receive that as well.
Sorry, can I just clarify that?
Mhm.
So when you say each team, I'm imagining like the team of 6 teachers. Are you saying each like teaching team, so the team of 2
The
teachers?
team of 2,
So half.
half.
Oh, very, cool. Okay.
So that's 3rd through 5th.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have the staff to do that
Yeah.
at primary,
It's a good start.
but as we hire, we're looking to hire gifted.
Yep.
And we're getting some, a lot of applications.
Sorry, one more clarification.
Mhm.
And then going off that, the 1 day, so it says 1 day pullout. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this fully. Like you had like the PC and the PC, so PC DLI, PC non-DLI. Does that mean that traditional classrooms are having a full day and DLI classrooms are having a half day?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
just wanted to make sure I was
Because they're only being pulled on the English
on the
side.
English side. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was reading right.
All right, this is a little bit difficult to see, but for kindergarten, the biggest change for K through 2 on the schedule and the coaches, and this is some of the work also understand that the coaches work on with us when we talk about what can we do to really impact student learning in the school. These are some of the things that they help us with as well. So the biggest change for PC is going back to 45-minute specials. And the rest of it will remain more or less the same. And we'll see how it goes over here next year. So next year, 3rd through 5th, every teacher, every student will have a co-teach, a pair. They'll be on a team. One teacher will teach math and science, the other will do ELA and social studies, and they work together. So they're in class 1 first. We'll just look at 3rd grade, for example, for 1 hour and 40 minutes. Then they go to specials, lunch and recess, and then they have about 25 more minutes with class 1, and then they'll switch to class 2, where they'll go either to ELA and science or math, ELA and social studies or math and science for the second half, and then that's dismissal. We also discussed switching this every quarter just to balance it out. So, because there's a little bit of a discrepancy in the time. And so just switching every quarter where they start, which, if they started with class 1 first quarter, they'll start with class 2 second quarter. So that's something that we're looking at to make sure that we balance out the time. Of course, the schedule is going back to specials for 45 minutes a day, except on double specials where we'll have 90 minutes. And that's the time that the teachers will meet together to plan. And lunch and recess will remain the same with a half an hour for lunch and a half an hour for recess daily.
So will all double specials be on Monday to align with the instructional planning of the PLC, like from the plan sheet?
There'll be that was gifted.
Okay.
I think it's Tuesday and Wednesdays we normally stick to.
So there will be some kids who have their gifted on their double specials day
Right.
and will have less gifted instruction than, right?
It's pretty much going to be balanced because all the kids on Tuesday, they have their 90 minutes on that day. And that's when the teachers will go and plan with their teachers. So they'll be out for that time, but then that would be it. Because they're going to attend their regular schedule for that day. So when it's time for them to go to specials, that's when they'll go.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know how the teachers feel about this new format. And will this allow the teachers to kind of teach in their specialty? Is
So I'm
that
glad
why it's being doubled?
So starting with the new change, the teachers liked it.
Yeah.
They did it before, prior to my arrival. Also, we took a look at where teachers wanted to be, and we took a look at their data. So we're pulling, for the most part, if a teacher was stronger in math, their data was stronger in math, that's where we try to pull the teacher on the team. And then we also talk to the teachers, and they pretty much know which side they're going to. So far, everyone is happy. But it also gives the coaches an opportunity to streamline what they need, because we're coming out with with new ELA standards.
Sure.
Where the students, some of the things are brand new for us, or some of them are newer for us, where they're going to be listening to podcasts and reading articles and having to formulate an opinion and synthesize all that information, citing from the articles and from the podcast in what they're doing. And so knowing that we have those new standards out, that's going to give Jennifer an opportunity to work specifically with those teachers, the 3 on each team that are doing ELA, while Ashley is working specifically with the teachers that are doing math and science. So because of IB, we'll all plan together with Carla.
Yes.
And then when it comes into going into the specific needs for math and science, then they'll work with the individual coaches. But remembering that we have the whole transdisciplinary theme first. So we'll have the same, if we're talking about change, that will be the thing that's going across the entire grade level. And then we'll go into specifics for math and science, social studies, and ELA.
Should a grade have an odd number of homerooms? How will that team be worked out?
So right now we don't have an odd number of homerooms. Every grade level has 6 classes. However, in the event that our enrollment shoots way up and we need to have another teacher, then that teacher would just teach all subjects. And that's what we had to do this year. We would just have an odd man out that teaches all subjects. But hopefully we can, well, it's a good problem to have. So hopefully our enrollment does shoot up and then we have to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. What else? I'm glad you brought that up though, because I did want to talk about like streamlining the services, and even as they go to the different workshops this year for whether it's ELA or math, that they can really specialize in the areas that they're working on and become better at honing their craft as instructional leaders in the school. All right, so scheduling highlights, 45-minute specials, 90 minutes on double specials day, departmentalized 3 through 5, 2 teachers per grade, which we'll have a math and science teacher, an ELA and social studies teacher, and then rotating each quarter.
What does that mean? Rotate each.
So starting with the different teacher first. So where they start first quarter, they may start with the first period, just to kind of balance out the time, just because of the ebb and flow of the day. Hopefully it'll give them the same amount of time if we switch it to quarter and then they do a different teacher.
Okay.
All right, so now let's go back. Did we have any questions about any of that? Okay.
I think it sounds really focused. I think it sounds, like you said, streamlined and very focused. I think it's gonna sure up a lot of kind of time, make sure it's being as efficient and effectively used as possible.
And that's our goal.
See how it goes.
That's our goal and that's our hope, and what we expect to see is even greater gains. So during this needs assessment now, we'll look at data. We looked at the data from spring to identify 2 or 3 potential needs for 25-26. The discussion will help school leadership as they prepare for 25-26 school year. And here are our guiding questions. So number 1, what does the data tell us?
I think we're talking about the data from slides 4 through 7. Right, the math and reading spring math data.
And that primarily, but we also discuss EIP and things of that nature too, and gifted. So bringing that all in.
Yeah.
What good news is there to celebrate? Where are growth opportunities, and what trends do we see in the data?
I think it's great news that you already have this schedule built out for next year. I think that's huge. So you'll be able to hit the ground running, in August. And your teacher planning, won't even be spent on the schedule because it's done. It's great.
Yeah, and we have to thank the coaches and the admin
Yeah.
team because they worked hard on that.
Awesome.
And even making the switch, we really talked about what is it that we need to do to improve next year. this is what we've been doing for 3 years. We saw these, this is the impact that we saw. What can we do to really help increase and improve? And Carla, you're part of it, so anything you want to say?
I'm just the double checker. It's too much for my eyes. It's a lot. Right.
So, I mean, we know that we have to improve in reading and math. That's what the data tells us.
Yeah.
The other piece for me, besides improving in reading and math, our growth overall has been an issue for years, not since, prior to me even coming here. And we have to find a way to improve the growth. And so that's what the data is telling me. I'd just like anybody else to add.
So we looked at yesterday at PLCs with, we were at the PC yesterday. We looked at data and, I mean, for the most part in general, it's trending up. Our growth is definitely trending up in a lot of grades in a lot of areas. So, I feel like the staff and the teachers were very, they felt like more, I don't know, after seeing, the final map, because we kind of, if you look at it before it closes,
Right.
it can change a little bit. So, but looking at it, I think it looked better than we initially thought when we, if you look at it, like I said, before it closes. I'm like, so I think we are slowly growing our students. But it's not overnight.
I mean, it looks like for the math, it looks like really the only green growth, the only growth that was like over 50th, I guess, of the students meeting their growth targets was first grade. Every other grade did not meet 50% of the students did not meet their growth targets for any other grade except for first grade in math.
Remember that's median though. So they're lining all the scores up and then they're just going to the middle score. So we do look at that as far as individual teachers too. So
So I was gonna say, we looked at the median, but we also looked at the percentage, the growth percentage. Because yes, the median, if it's 44, there could be kids that are at 80. I mean, there could be kids that are at 22, but that 44th is the mix. So,
So
you can look at the percentage as well. We can.
Yeah.
It's not on this graph.
So is this, you think, not the best report to look at? Is there another report that is better to look at for growth?
This is the measure that we use, so it is important to look at it.
Well, because it, like in first grade, what is that? 60% met or exceeded growth. That's something very positive. I think that's awesome.
yeah, in kindergarten, I don't know if it was reading or math, they did very well in one.
Reading. Yeah, it was reading.
It's 90s, what was it, in the 90s maybe, or the 80s?
It's 39 and 14, so it's 44, 54%.
I know I looked at kindergarten and one was very high.
And a minute go.
No.
So, I mean, when I look at the good news to celebrate is in 3, 4, and 5, we do have positive movement in 2 grades. Fourth, we just need to work on, and I think that's going to improve with time next year. And then I think the most important thing is, well, are there any other good news to celebrate?
I think that 60% of first graders is really a really great, amazing thing to show. That in, that class, there's 60% of kids that met or exceeded their goals. That's awesome. it don't.
And then what are our growth opportunities? What do you really want? Where do we really need to focus on next year? I know it's
I think we are focusing on them with the additional math, EIP, like that's one very focused spot that we're doing. And then I think the growth opportunities for the specialization in the departmentalization will help a ton. So if teachers are learning new standards, they just have to learn one set of new standards rather than learn and implement two sets of new standards. And then our coaches can work with smaller groups. Like I think there's a lot of really, really good things that will come out of departmentalization in third through fifth.
Is that a plan for coaches to work with small groups?
I meant smaller
smaller
groups of
teachers.
Oh,
Because they'll just have three, or they'll just have all math and then.
Right.
And then you can do like the alignment and say like, what are you doing in third grade? That would help
Yeah.
the fourth grade teachers. Cause now there's all the math teachers, all the
Yeah.
math teachers can have a math chat or something.
I mean, obviously, I've already said it, but I think it's a huge growth opportunity to deliver EIP services to more students because it helps the students and just for the budget perspective, if you're delivering EIP services to a student, you're going to get double the amount of money for that student in your budget. So the budget amount that we get for each student is about $6,000, but if they're receiving EIP services, you're getting $12,000 to our budget for that student. So I think it's not, I mean, there's too many benefits to finding ways to serve those
So
students.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Let me be clear with you. Let me be very clear. I love money. And I love money for our school. So anything that we can do to increase that, we will, because I hear you 100%. We do when we when we schedule it, we gain more money. So we are looking at that. I've talked to Champion about looking at what are some other ways that we can schedule it. But we stay within the confines of what the district and the state has laid out. But definitely, if the more students we can get, we will maximize.
Because of that, there are certain stipulations. There can only be a certain number. 8. I mean, it's small class, it's small group size, it's small. Then, they opt in the scores, determine that first, then the scheduling. And then also the parents have to say, yes, you can't just automatically be.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's,
that's just gonna be more I'm gonna ask for that data next year, like as we're getting ready for the budget next year. And I think, prioritize next year, putting EIP delivery services into our budget over other things into our budget. So I'm just saying that now, that I think it's that important.
And I mean, Simona's on the phone. I think she agrees, especially with
Yes,
reading.
Lord, yes, yes, yes.
And so we're going to look at it, and any opportunity that we see to provide more services. At the end of the day, what anything that we can do to help the students grow, we will. It's just a matter of can we do it and how we do it. So it's not oppositional or an argument or anything of that nature. We want the money. 'Cause that can help us hire more people.
Yeah, well, and I think what I think I'm saying, and maybe Simona's saying, is we're willing to adjust roles in the budget so that you'll have the money for EIP. If next year, if we're not able to grow our students with the plan we have this year.
All right, and any trends that we see in the data? I mean, it's kind of repetitive.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So we have the notes,
Mhm.
we have the strengths, we have the opportunities. We'll fill that in. And then based on your responses for strengths and opportunities, what must be true to achieve excellence at Sarah Smith? So those are 3 right there. Based on responses for strengths and opportunities, what must be true for Sarah Smith to achieve excellence? I do want to write these down, 1, 2, and 3. Any thoughts?
Well, I love how you're calling it the win, what individuals, what I need, that I think every student gets what I need.
Okay. I think I mean, it's kind of obvious. We need to just be, and I'm trying to think of a simplified way to say this. Just every student needs to be a strong math student, and then the other one is every student needs to be a strong reading student. But give it, who'd like to wordsmith that for us? Carla, you're the usual wordsmith.
Are we saying outcomes or are we saying actions?
Based on your responses, what must be true for Sarah Smith to achieve excellence?
Like, it sounds
So
like
it,
want
it
an
says
action.
actions, it's actions.
So.
So every student gets what I need is
what I
one.
need, I think, maybe we could look at our. Maybe something about like partnering.
Provide multiple opportunities for students to excel in reading.
Mhm.
And basically the same thing in math.
Yeah. And I think there needs to be some sort of element of like collaboration around a student because there's going to be gaps now because they're just not gaps now, but there's going to be two teachers working with a student. There's going to be, so there's going to need to make sure that those PLCs and the coaches and everyone is working together to make sure that they're addressing the whole student and not just like the math part or the reading part, so some element of collaborating with, the providers or, you know what I'm saying?
Well, when they plan, at least the teams plan together. Outside of PLCs. PLCs have their,
I'm just saying, will that change if they're doing math? Like, will all third grade math teachers now plan together?
So
Do you know
that,
what I mean? So it's like if the math teachers and I'm just saying like
so
to work as a team.
so fifth grade has been doing this.
Yeah.
So we've seen the model where they start off all together
Mhm.
and then they break apart to do their specific areas.
Okay.
And so that's what we expect to see. You can speak to it.
Yeah, so basically, we would look at the unit as a whole and what's going on and make sure, like, conceptually in math, we're talking about the function of numbers and the function of a government system in social studies. And then in science, we're talking about the function of the solar system. So talking about systems and function, remember that, like, here's the things we're working on. Of course, the reading is planning text based on either science or social studies or both when appropriate. So they're using solar system text and solar system passages. And the writing prompt is about, the solar system, depending on the genre of writing that we're working on. So we would have planned all that together. And then we would just go back and together as a group, reminder, this is what we're working on. That summative is going to include, their summative assessment is going to include math, social studies, science, reading, and also conceptual lenses that we've taught the unit through. And then we would break apart and do the math and science side, the social studies and ELA side. And I usually like go back and forth or work with one or the other for 1 week and then flip. So it's not, I think it's going to be even less of planning in a silo, just because instead of 6 people trying to plan 4 different subjects, you've got 3 people planning 2 things and 3 people planning 2.
Yeah.
So,
And then 6 people coming
and then
together
6
to make
people,
sure that they
yes.
match up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we met our needs assessment. I did have one question though. So next year, who would be responsible for sending like the map results home to parents? And second question to that, when will parents receive their spring map test results?
So you don't have that yet?
I haven't for some of my classes, but I've definitely heard from parents in first grades and second grades who have not received their spring
Okay,
map test,
that's a matter of just making sure
that they get sent.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And then to answer your other question, you will still have a main
Homeroom teacher.
homeroom.
Got it.
So they'll just switch, but you'll still have your principal
Yeah.
main homeroom,
Got it.
okay?
Thank you.
All right. So next steps, we will spend the summer preparing for 25, 26. Schools will begin meeting on after July 1st to organize their Go team for the year. And during the first business meeting in fall 2025, principal and Go teams will review strategic priorities and metrics for the year. And so I'm anticipating a whole bunch of changes over the summer with the new superintendent. The strategic plans technically ended this year. And so that's like perfect timing for an overhaul. So we'll take a look and see. All right, so back to informational items. The last one on the list, and we talked about this before, but just to kind of reiterate, the funds from the teacher that departed earlier this year has basically gone, and we've requested it to just go to we have a deficit in substitute budget. So that's gonna cover that. And maybe not even cover all of that. And then Carla, can you speak to? Mm-hmm.
So these are our strengths identified by the team that visited. We aligned with the philosophy and mission of IB. We have strong support systems for both our teachers and our students. And we have effective collaboration and lots of cultural celebrations here. So some of the opportunities we have for growth were ensure coherent unit planners are aligned with IB standards. We just had some places where some units weren't completely reflected on by the teachers. After we finish a unit, you have to reflect, or maybe they leaned a little bit too much to our standards base and weren't global enough for IB. Working on inquiry-based strategies, we work on that all the time, expanding our assessment methods, and really getting the students to reflect on their assessments and their goals and their learning, and then integrating the learner profile attributes into our daily culture. I've already started doing that this year. You go to the next one.
Yes, ma'am.
So they just asked for us to submit all of our planners in May this year to make sure they were reflected upon and aligned. Look at more targeted professional development, like for inquiry-based learning or more for the learner profile. We enhanced the visibility across the school. I've been doing posts on Dojo. We've been doing learner profile breakfast of the month. We've been doing teacher learner profile recognition. And as we just always are refining the policies in our alignment goals with others. That's an ongoing process. That was basically it. We had a great review, and the only thing we needed to do was submit our planners this year.
Can you tell what is a planner? Are you
So our units are
just like the
planners and
completed-
units we
The
interchange.
completed units or the ones
Yes.
that you're going? The completed.
the completed ones for this year, because they wanted to see our reflection.
And the standards are changing a bit next year, or what is changing exactly for IB?
For IB, so we have 6 transdisciplinary skills. They've just updated them and made them a little bit less wordy. So now they're bullet points instead of, they were like
Small paragraphs.
colons in there
Mhm.
and colons, and so they've turned it into bullet points. So they've just updated sort of the language, and I'm already putting that into the planners for next year. We have to do some work on the planners for next year because of the new ELA standards anyway. So there's going to be tweaking. There's going to be some changes just from those new standards.
The learner profile recognitions have been so popular, and everyone is like really excited about those. So like those will continue next year.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And I know it's been a lot. I was trying to play catch up with this year. And so it was like, teachers were like, could you not send me another email to recognize the student? So this month we'll do April, and next month we'll do May toward the end. And then next year it will just be one a month. I know it's been a lot, but yeah, I know the kids are so excited.
Yeah.
Donuts are so great.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is we're working on getting the TV fixed at the other campus. But kids from this campus are telling the kids at the other campus, hey, we've seen you on TV. So getting that's a good thing and just keeping it going.
If you walk this way today, then one of the boards is right there
Mhm.
on the wall with the pictures. Oh, and there's one right there too.
Yeah, that one is really nice. The parents enjoyed that earlier today too.
So yeah, just, doing that.
One of
As-
the,
Just the last slide, you're turning this in by May 1st.
Yeah.
And then just ongoing and monitoring,
So we. have-
ongoing monitoring next year.
Yeah, so we'll take any of those recommendations, I'll take and put them into an action plan. Next year I'll be working with our IB committee to, they call it a PDP, it's a professional development plan, basically. It's like our action plan for the 5 years up into the next visit, so there's just things to work on along.
what is the IB committee? Is that a Sarah Smith thing or
Mhm.
beyond?
Yeah, it's just the teachers.
Got the
to,
teachers.
to,
right there.
to just kind of give me some hands to get some more places.
One of the opportunities, it seemed like several of them were about reflection. And so I'm just curious, like how we would see that implemented in the classroom with students. If we're trying to increase, like foster reflection, I guess is what one of them said.
So we should really be reflecting after they finish a unit, when they're after they finished any assignment, really writing, math, any formative test that they're taking, any project that they've done, reflect on how they did, what they learned, how they would do it differently, just that process, and then setting goals for, okay, so, and we've done this a little bit with math, like, okay, this is what I did, here's where I want to be, and here's how I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna make sure, I go to sleep the night before. I'm gonna, I'm not gonna wait till the last minute to do that project or whatever it may be. We just need to really remember, everything we're just trying to get everything done. And so reflecting kind of falls by the wayside as it does with the teachers. We're trying to get through talking about, our lesson plans and how we're going to teach this math unit and what we're doing. And so then reflecting on, okay, this was really a great unit because we did this and this is what the kids learned. So we need to do a better job as the instructional side of it, reflecting as teachers and having our students. So it would just be like that.
So a lot of the assessments the students do are online, right? And I'll hear from parents, like, we never see the math test that they take informative or any assessments online. So, I mean, just as a parent, it would be amazing, like once a month to see a reflection come home of an assessment that has at the top, like, this was my reflection on my formative math assessment that I took, and these are what I need to work on as a student. I think, Ben, you may know at Sutton, I think that the students have to reflect every week, I think at Sutton, on like in their different subjects. That might be too much for elementary school kids, definitely the little ones, but I think that would be something really helpful since so many of our assessments are online.
And it can be, for kinder, smiley face, sad face, or
Yeah.
great line.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
or
That's so
draw a
smart.
picture
Yeah.
of how you felt after
Like this
you
assessment.
did,
Yeah.
you presented your project. How did that make you feel?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities to
Mhm.
like.
It's being explicit with that
Share.
reflection time and making that an important part of learning. It is an important part. It's
Yeah.
important for growth. And so that's something, yes, we need to do for ourselves and for our kids.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, cluster advisory team report. Have we had one?
I think Jennifer.
Jennifer Moore
just
is
did
our
the
cluster
last one.
advisory person, and she did the last.
Yeah, and we didn't have one since the last one, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And then voting started yesterday.
So I know we're getting a staff because I'm.
We're getting one new staff person, and we have a parent position up for vote. We've invited the participants, we've invited the people who are running, who are not currently on the Go team, who are running.
And just so you know, like the household is only gonna be sent to one person in the house. So if you're like, I haven't seen one, ask your spouse or ask your partner or ask, because it might be lost in a jumble.
And is it true that they sent it to
Number one.
number one?
Mhm.
That is true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I never received it.
I wasn't going to ask, man. I wasn't going to ask.
Please vote for me.
Yeah.
All right,
See it happen.
let's see what else we have. Complete your end of year surveys available now. Check your email for the link. Your principal feedback survey, your Go Team satisfaction survey, and complete your required trainings ASAP, which that should be done.
I think we're good.
And thank you for another great year.
And thank you to our longtime Go Team servers who are rolling off. You have really served this community and we're so thankful for your leadership.
Yes, we're bookends today.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate both of you and the lens that you have. Ben, you're just like that nice, calming spirit. And I always appreciate that, even when, some might be a little frantic, you're still there and calm and you keep it good and level. And I truly miss you off of Go Team.
I'll miss it as well.
If you want to come back as a community member in a few years.
I'll give you the sign. I'll give you the sign in the carpool. Stolen carpool.
All right. Yep. We still have another 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
3 years.
Forget her on campus every once in a while.
Yeah.
I hope that's gonna happen.
I got her if you do. And Carla, thank you for everything too, your lens and the IB lens and keeping IB a top priority for the school.
Do you have any other announcements?
Move to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned at 4:05.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you. Hey, how clear could you hear? Hey, Javier,
Yes,
he's running. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Great, thank you. How could you, we're trying the new equipment out. How do we sound online? Were we clear? Could you hear everyone clearly?
You were loud and clear.
Yeah, as if you're at your own computers.
Okay,
Yes, it's pretty good sound.
all right. Well, thank you and have a good day. Thanks for joining us. Kat, thanks for joining us.
All right.
I am ready. I'm talking for the day. Have a good one.
2.
Bye-bye.